Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Calgary Barbell. Today we are wrapping up week 2 of my preparations for Nationals. Now I'll be doing Nationals completely equipped, no raw component. I won't make that mistake again. That was a bit of a rough day for the raw day. So let's just dive right in. So I started off the week with some equipped squats as per usual, and I believe I worked up through 325, 330, and 335 kilo squats. Now the 330, I believe it was the second rep of the day, actually moved really well, starting to feel a little less heavy on my back, for lack of a better way of explaining it. Starting to feel a little bit more like these weights are within my wheelhouse. And actually right after this session, I sent my squat suit off to get tailored and get some things taken in. So I'm getting the hips taken in a bit of a crescent shape, so that the cuff of the leg doesn't end up much tighter, which may cause the suit to ride up on somebody like myself who has relatively big quads. So just a little bit of advice for you there if you're looking at getting your suit hips taken in. I also did my first session in a borrowed low-cut 48 Super Katana, and that was amazing. I've used a low-cut before, but it was a size 46, which I think is a bit too much chest plate for me. Now, the sleeves on this shirt were relatively loose, so I wasn't getting as much carryover as I would have liked through the top, but I was able to get some really good, consistent reps in the sort of 222 to 225 range, being able to touch and press without having to give up as much into the shirt. Anybody who's benched in a shirt knows when you get to a certain point, the shirt starts to bind up and stop you. And there are kind of two options. Number one, if the shirt gives enough, then you can kind of just be patient and allow it to sink down without giving up much shoulder position. If the shirt is too tight and has too much chest plate, like the 46s that I was using, you're gonna come down and you're gonna have to kind of give up some shoulder position to get the touch, try to get back into position for the press. I did not have to give up position in this 48, so I'm very happy about that. And actually after this session, I went and took the sleeves in, so we'll talk a little bit about that next week. The end of that day, what did I do? The end of day 1. That's it. I just squat and bench. Anyways, day 2, I worked up to a single at 350 kilos, 355 kilos, and 360 kilos. And I think by the time I got to the 360, that was probably my smoothest rep. I'm also banging away on those sets of 5, so I got up to 320 kilos for a set of 5 there. And those are starting to feel really snappy too. I know in previous blocks, my best set of 5 was probably somewhere around 340, 345, and I just dummied it. Now in the last block, the reps were starting to feel really sluggish. I wasn't getting that same sort of crispness, and I think that was just a result of doing as much volume as I was doing. Now these 5s are starting to feel a little more like, I don't know how to describe it, but you can like disrespect the weight, you know? You just really get it. But so things are feeling good, basically. And then that day, after the deadlifts, I did some pin press, got up to I think 160 kilos, and that's feeling really good. My raw bench is plagued by a little bit of bicep tendonitis on my right side right now, so I have to be pretty careful with the intensity that I'm using. And also I find, depending on how the bar comes down to the pins, can have a bit of an impact on how my shoulder feels. I finished that day up with some 600 tempo Bulgarian split squats, which if you're a coach and you dislike your trainees, you can program these and they will shake and be sore for days. Day 3, my camera didn't work. I was having some issues with the SD card. Dylan and I got it figured out, so we were able to film day 4, but day 3, you can check my Instagram, and Dylan will maybe put a link to that somewhere here or in the description below. Anyways, it's just at Bryce Krawchuk, my name. I did some comp raw squats, and those went really well, up to 227.5 for a nice smooth set of 5. Still no pain on my raw squats. Still feeling like I'm able to hold position in the bottom, which is traditionally where I've had a lot of my issues with my raw squat over the last couple of years. So really happy with the progression, however slow, that's happening right now. My comp raw bench was up, I think, another 2.5 kilos, so I was up to 147.5 or 150 for a whole bunch of triples that day. And then I did some close grip pin press. Again, no footage for that, and I apologize deeply. My day 4 is quickly becoming one of my favorite days just because I love deadlifting against chains. My raw deadlift and my equipped deadlift seem to respond really, really well to that variation specifically. And I like being able to, it fits the strength curve. It makes the lift harder as I get better and more advantage throughout it. So I worked up to 320 kilos, which worked out to be just over 800 pounds, about 802, 800 at the top. With just a whole crap load of chains on there. And it felt really good. It felt really heavy, but it felt really good. After that, I do some mid-range pin press. I think I was up to about 180 kilos for a single there, and some back off work around 170, and finished that day with what I think is a pretty cool protocol for front squats. So Mike has me working up to essentially 2 triples per set, separated by 30 seconds rest. Now, for something like a front squat where the limiting factor is often kind of being able to hold that position, it allows you to accommodate for that a little bit by taking a short break and sort of letting some of those less trained muscles recuperate, even just slightly, between the first triple and the second triple. So it's effectively 6 reps with a sort of minor amount of rest in between, but it's allowed me to kind of push the front squat more, feel better about most reps, and challenge my lower body a little bit more than traditionally I would be able to in a front squat. So if you're looking for an interesting or cool way to program front squats, take a page from Mike's book and try out the 2 triples with about 30 seconds rest in between each triple on something like front squats. The other time I think this might be useful is if somebody runs into issues where throughout a set of bench press they're really having a problem keeping their shoulders. Do a triple, rack it. If you're looking for a set of 6, for example, do a triple, rack it, take 30 seconds, reset your back, do another triple. Something like that might be beneficial where the limiting factor is positioning and the endurance to maintain positioning. So it allows you to kind of ease into that without taking the focus off of the main component of what you're trying to train. Back by popular demand, we are going to bring back album of the week, I guess. And today I'm going to let you guys in on one of my favorite albums of the last, I guess this was 2005, so 14 years ago. The album is Undoing Ruin by Darkest Hour. Some really, really good thrash, really good melody, really good dynamic to the album. It's one of my favorite albums, I guess, probably of all time in terms of the metal genre. I'm going to give this album a 4 Screaming Bryce heads out of 5. And that's in terms of aggressiveness. This is not my review of the album. I think this is definitely a 10 out of 10 album. Front to back, one of my favorite metal albums of all time, like I said. But it's pretty aggressive. It's not insane. There are some melodic breaks, but they do a really good job of keeping the pace and sort of tempo nice and high. Go check it out. The album is Undoing Ruin by Darkest Hour. I'd say my favorite song's probably Tranquil, last song on the album. Check it out. That's about it for me today, guys. I am currently about halfway through week 3, and I will tell you it is going fantastic. I'll have lots more exciting stuff for you guys next week. If you want to hit up question of the day, it's going to be up here, right? Up there? Up there. Click on that and go check it out. We're going to talk about velocity-based training and why the heck I have that weird-ass string on my bar all the time. See you guys.